there's a lot of different things you can do. And I think that's what's so overwhelming, um, especially a lot of people who are getting into it because I mean, there are people who make their entire careers out of this. And another thing to be really wary about is that there's a lot of like pop-up programs, especially designed for the uninitiated, who are like these online programs, these fitness coaches that are just like, oh yeah, give us like $1,400 and then in 16 weeks you'll be this muscled Adonis. Um, and if you don't do it just exactly right, or God forbid you get sick during that time or something, then you're just kind of screwed out of your money. um like it's a real commitment, and it's just you know um it's a big money sink. Or there was one that I actually went to out of curiosity a few years ago before I even tried seriously losing weight or anything, and it was these people this I'm sure you've seen around Iron Tribe. Um,
Oh yeah.
they're like, here, you can be a part of this 6 week program and you're gonna lose so much body fat and it's gonna be great. You just gotta stick to our program and you pay us like $600 up front. But if you reach your goal in this time for like decreasing your body fat by this percentage or whatever, then you're good. You're not you we'll give you your money back, you know. The business model is designed to fail for one, and two, to make you feel bad about it because, well, if you didn't reach your goal, it's because you just weren't trying hard enough. And well, you already paid for it, but you were so close. So you might as well pay them again so you can keep trying to reach your goal with these group workout peer pressure sessions. Um, that works for some people. Great. Um, it's not really healthy, but you know.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be the way I would be going about trying to lose weight. It's like, yeah, here you go. Here's my $600, and if I don't get to the goal that you have set for me, then here's some more money. And so, or either that, or I'm just gonna wallow in self-pity, throw myself a pity party. So it's like one way or the other. It don't sound like a win-win situation for me if I don't make that goal. So there's definitely it definitely is, personal, I guess, preference of what people would do. Personally, for me, that definitely would not be my route. But there is, it definitely does depend on what you're trying to go for. Definitely, if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to gain muscle, or if you're just trying to do a little bit of both, to where you're just trying to tone your body, but not trying to get bodybuilder kind of look. So there's just definitely a big spectrum when it comes to our health. So yeah, definitely, as far as anybody trying to think of ways to like losing weight, or gaining muscle, just definitely do some research. And there's definitely some challenges that come with a lot of these situations. Like there's definitely things you may have to give up, like whether it's like certain foods, or you definitely will have to work harder for it. It definitely is a lot of commitment for sure. So there's that. And then before I get into the sickness part, I actually have another thing that I want to bring up right quick. So when I was trying to back before I got onto like a weight loss journey, I was talking to a friend about this struggle, and he was telling me like one big thing for him that got him to lose weight is, I forget the exact name for it, but it's a certain kind of fasting that you do, to where you only eat during like a certain part of the day, and then like you go like probably a good like 14, 15, 16 hours without eating. So it's like you only have like a 7, 8 hour window to eat, and then like you go the rest of the time without it. Have you ever done something like that before?
I briefly considered it actually before going on keto. I believe it's called intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Um, I never actually did it, but I was I have heard of it. I've heard of some people who do it, and the thing about that, um, it's another one of those things that's kind of hard to get into, kind of similar to ketosis, because you're so used to having your body eat at certain times. And I noticed that, I mean, it is possible because I know like there was some elements of that with Optavia because again, having to train your body to only eat these certain times, even if it's not making yourself really full. Um, it's it's your body does get trained to get hungry at those times or get hungrier than it already was at those times. And it's kind of a big ordeal to um to get to that point with your body. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about trying it. I think that a lot of things that are those odd or weird diets, like keto or like Optavia, um, are really just good. I mean, keto, Optavia, or even intermittent fasting are really just good when you want to lose weight quick, albeit you're recovering from a holiday binge, or you are just starting out way out there. You are in the morbid obese category already, or you are at the point where you don't feel like you stand a chance doing things just a traditional way of just, okay, I'm going to cut my calories, make better health decisions. I mean, some people say they literally lose 20 pounds just by cutting out soft drinks. Well, I never really drank many soft drinks. So when people told me that was the first thing I needed to do, I said, well, crap, it's going to be even harder for me. But, you know, it, it's one of those things that I think that those are cool little neat tricks, to either get you started or to get you going or get you somewhere quick. But I don't think that any of those are really good long-term solutions. I'm not really too sure about intermittent fasting, and I'm still not entirely sure about keto because I know that like performance like of the mind, like in terms of like focus and some other health benefits have been seen and studied in states of ketosis. That's been like a big thing. Um, but there's also other long-term health effects that could come into play for that. It's still something that's very much either isn't being studied or needs to be studied. But I mean, like these kind of alternating states of being that are not really currently reflective or indicative that you have to kind of go out of your way to live that way because everything in all of the food that we have that's major production right now. I mean, it's got some kind of grains or corn um or soy product. It's everywhere. Um so you really have to go out of your way to maintain those kinds of diets or those kinds of lifestyles that would permit you to live in this certain kind of way. Not saying it can't be done. I mean, there are people who are lactose intolerant legitimately, and you know, I mean, I guess you get lactate, but like, I mean, my heart goes out to them. Um, but like, I feel like in the end, if you don't have some sort of strange dietary restriction for your health, then you're kind of going to end up coming back to a baseline of, look, you're just going to need to learn how to eat food that is good enough to count for the calories that you're intaking and how to not binge eat and how to not go over and how to keep things within a certain limit to match for the amount of physical activity you're putting out. So the idea is that your calories are going down, your activity is going up, and then, once you've built some more muscle, then well, I mean, I actually know a guy at work. He does like a lot of kickboxing. He's super active and he's really built muscularly. And like we've gone out to lunch before at work and he'll be like, I'm hungry already again. He'll go pick up a Big Mac on the way back to work. And he just he puts it all to good use because he's just that muscular and he just gets that extra hungry. So I feel like at some point, regardless of your level of muscle, it's gonna come down to a balancing act of eating foods and eating the right foods to keep you full and functional and these weird diets that are based on timing and very restrictive. cutting out carbs, treating carbs like they're the devil, which, both Optavia and keto did. And then you think you find like these cool cheat codes, like they have, low carb ice cream, because they replaced all the synthetic sugars, which can do just the same thing to you, if not worse. Same thing with a lot of, in general, sugar-free stuff. Granted, I still do ingest a lot of sugar-free, substitutes, just because, I mean, if I didn't do that, like it would be even harder. So it's just, you know, and it's not all bad. It's just the thing about that is that, as opposed to sugar, which gets digested and immediately converted into fat in your body, sugar-free substitutes don't get digested. So they're exited in every other way with your body, whether it's sweat or excretory system, whatever you want to imagine. But so some would argue that that's not good for you. It's not good. It's more pressure on your liver. 'Cause everything you put in your body is going to eventually have to go through your liver. Same thing with having too much protein at once, though. That can actually cause a lot of GI problems. But that's anyways, neither here nor there.
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely like considered as well the whole like intermittent fasting and like trying to do that, but it kind of got to where it was almost like unrealistic for me just because there is certain times of the days where it does seem like my body, I guess like I've kind of got myself to where I've shifted a little bit to where I'll have dinner a little bit earlier than I used to. I guess just also because of like the current job that I have. Like I think the job that I had before, I didn't get off till late. So like my dinner was way later than what it is now. So I guess it just like depending on like your lifestyle and stuff like that. So it was just hard finding that balance and then trying to find the right things to eat during that time to where it's good for you, but it's going to last you for a lot for the rest of the time until you eat again during that small time period. And it definitely can be a short-term goal, like a good way to lose weight. But yeah, long-term, I could see how it would definitely be very hard for me personally. I could see that being a challenge for sure. So yeah, that's something that I've I have considered before, but it just didn't work out for me. But anyways, I guess moving on into like the whole sickness and illness part of this topic, I guess I'll have you kind of explain some of like the that side of the health journey that you went through regarding sicknesses or illnesses.
Okay. So growing up, I was a very, very sickly child. I don't really know entirely exactly what was wrong with me. I would just start vomiting uncontrollably a lot. Um, I was hospitalized with what they called cyclic vomiting. They just couldn't get me to stop vomiting at least a dozen times growing up. And I just had a very weak and nervous stomach. I had a lot of anxiety when I was a small child, and I have reasons why I think that was. And they got better, a lot better, as I got older, and I kind of made a conscious effort to remove some of those anxious thoughts that I was having, just from my everyday life. Um, because mental health, I mean, that can definitely have a huge effect on your physical health, obviously. But um, so I was very anxious. I was very scared, and just I hated going to school, and so a lot of times that would make me be psychosomatically sick. Like I would psych myself up to the point that I would actually get sick, because of how much I dreaded going to school and stuff sometimes. But basically, I would just go to the hospital and just throw up, and the only thing they could really do was give me an antispasmodic, which sometimes helped, sometimes didn't, but they would put me on an IV until I basically pass out, so that I could stay hydrated. Because you will dehydrate, you just keep throwing up all your fluids. Just sucks. Um, whenever I was 11 or 12, I think, is when they first found erosion in my esophagus, which is really common these days, actually. And I got put on one of the various proton pump inhibitors that we put on, which is basically in your esophagus, where you have, well, so your stomach, obviously you have stomach acid, and the idea of GERD or, uh, let's see, what does that stand for again? It's like gastroenter, something, something reflux disease. Basically, it's not even really a disease, it's just a disorder. Um, whenever your heartburn, it's not really heart, it's you have stomach acid that just flares up into your esophagus. Um, and again, that can happen from heightened states of anxiety or whatever. Uh, it was happening so much, I think also as part of, my incessant gag reflex and having to throw up so much that my esophageal wall was eroding away to the point that I had to go on some medication for it. And if I hadn't gone on medication for it at that age, very young, um, they would have eventually had to, step and do some more drastic measures, like they were talking about surgery and stuff like that. So it was like no big deal. It's just a pill I pop a day, and eventually my heartburn goes away. And again, I think it's like super common these days, even more so than it was at that time.